and welcome. My name is Mrs. Butler, and I'm the director of the School Counselors K through 12 in the West Orange School District. This evening, our goal is to answer or address any questions that you may have as it relates to your son or daughter transitioning to West Orange High School. Next. There are 10 school counselors at the high school. Students are assigned by last name alphabetically to the school counselors. This evening, we have 5 of the school counselors with us, and they will be speaking throughout the evening. They'll introduce themselves before speaking. Our goal this evening, next slide, slide 2. Our goal this evening is to have the school counselors provide an overview of the high school, explain how the high school is different from the middle school, review graduation requirements, and explain the course selection process. At any time, if you have any questions, type them in the Q&A box, and one of us will respond. There will also be time at the end of this presentation to address any questions or concerns that you may have. Next up, we have Mr. Casal.
Good evening. My name is Aldo Casal, and I am a counselor for 9th through 12th. Most of my alphabet ends in, begins with last names A and into B. So, some years it's a little further into B, and some years it's a little less. So I think some of the biggest differences middle school students, have when, see from middle school to high school is the size. I mean, the size of the building is huge. The class is a lot of times when we meet with our 9th graders in October of their freshman year. And a lot of times what they'll tell us is, the differences are obviously the size, but the classes, the homework, and one of probably the most important thing and probably the biggest things is the independence, how much more independent they are now than they were in middle school. So we talk to them about that when we meet with them, in the fall, and we talk to them about making good decisions, managing their time. Sometimes a lot of students have a hard time managing their time just because, if they're playing a sport and they're trying to manage that with, doing their homework, they have a hard time figuring out a good balance. So we talk to them about that. We also talk to them about the attendance, how critical attendance is. Also, we take an initiative is another thing that we want our students to start to do. In middle school, I think it was easier for them to, when they were having a problem, I guess to speak with a teacher maybe immediately after the class. But in high school, they have to kind of find a time to speak to the teacher. So often when they are having trouble, making appointments with the teacher, whether it's during lunch or after school, those are things that they have to start doing on their own and really advocating for themselves. And finally, the last thing is and one of the things that we also talk to them about is start thinking about college. And we know it's early, but the grades are an important part of this. So to thinking about college, it's not too early to start thinking about college. So a lot, we talk to each year the GPA matters. 9th grade, 10th grade, 11th grade, the GPA matters. And that's probably one of the most important things a student can focus on is their grades and, maintaining a strong GPA and getting started in high school with a strong GPA. But also another thing that they can do is, just getting involved in extracurricular activities, community service, clubs and sports. The one thing that we find out is our kids who are most involved, our students who are most involved, are usually the students who are doing best in school. So, if it's, one thing, just even me being a parent, one thing I try to do, I try to encourage my child to, get involved as much as you can, because what I've noticed is there's definitely a correlation between students who get involved and good grades. All right, so this is a sample transcript. What we're going to do is each year in high school, we provide your child with their transcript or a transcript. In ninth grade, obviously they don't have a transcript in ninth grade because the transcript is based on the final grades. So in ninth grade, they don't have a transcript. So we show them a sample transcript. And then in 10th grade, when the counselors meet with the students in 10th grade, we provide them with their transcript. In 11th grade, we'll provide them with another copy of their transcript. And each year we provide it to them, and each year we show it to them because it's probably the most important document that a college will see. It has the GPA from 9th, 10th, and 11th grade, and it'll also have the cumulative GPA. And like I said, I tell my own students this, when you go visit a college, ask them what the most important document or the most important thing that they want to see from you. And very often they're going to tell them that their grades are the most important thing. So with that being said, we think that, showing them a transcript and showing them their transcript each year after 9th grade is critical.
Mr. Cassell,
Next.
a question, and
Oh, yeah.
it is, our honors classes weighted?
Yes. So honors classes and advanced placement classes are weighted. So students that have an A in an honors class that A is going to be weighted differently than a student with an A in a non-honors class. So getting involved, obviously we just talked about that, but what you can start doing is building a resume, and it's a little early for that. Well, it's really never too early for that, because even my own son, he's in 10th grade, and he needed his resume this year for something. So it was good to kind of like have something, have it started. And then each year you can just fill in, when you do more activities. Okay, this is just a sample resume. So you can use, any resume, it doesn't matter what resume format you use. Obviously, there's not going to be a lot on a 9th grader's resume. Whatever format you use is fine. We have a resume format in Naviance. So if you don't know what to use, the safest way to, you can just go to Naviance, and they have a format in there that you can use.
There was one question, which is, how do the students get the transcripts? Are they emailed or are they mailed?
Okay, so each year when we meet with our students, what we'll do is we'll give them a hard copy of their unofficial transcript. So that's how they get it. We hand them a hard copy of it. Now in 9th grade, because in 9th grade their transcript is blank, obviously we can't give them a copy of their transcript. So what we do is we show them that sample transcript that was on the screen a couple of screens before this. Is this still me? No. Okay.
All right. Good evening, everyone. My name is Gerlin Millington, one of the school counselors here at West Orange High School. My caseload varies a bit because I do work with non-Spanish speaking ESL students. So I do have a caseload of also LMN, O, depending on the school year and our numbers of students. Just to piggyback on Mr. Cassell's note on students getting involved, in terms of the clubs and sports that are available here at the high school varies quite a bit based on your interests, and also you can look into sports that are similar to what you've been doing here from your middle school or even club sports. So a lot of our students may not have started with any particular sports at the middle school, and then when they come into the high school, they find a variety of other sports that might be just non-competitive that they can still participate. We also have a variety of clubs as well, where the students will find other students who may have similar interests. So if you're into environmental science or photography or anything where you want to do a service, we do have Interact Club in a variety of them that students can participate in. You can do a number of sports and sports clubs and sports simultaneously, or you can decide to start with clubs and then do sports, whether you prefer to do activities in the spring or the fall. So the link below shows you a list of clubs that could be seasonally or year-round, as well as sports that are available here at the high school. In terms of interest in playing sports, so at the high school, we have, again, fall, winter, and spring sports. Our fall sports, for example, is soccer, football. We have girls soccer as well. And this school year, they did such a phenomenal job in the fall. And I'm sure you've been watching the data and see all the amazing job that our fall student sports have done. For this winter, we have swimming, we have indoor track and field, and you have other sports that students do participate in at different seasons. So in terms of wanting to play sports at the high school, what we do recommend is pretty much looking at what season you are interested in participating. And in the beginning, as an incoming ninth grader for the fall sports, you would not necessarily have credits to start. So they would require just your physical, which you can take either at the school or with your pediatrician. And also, once you're looking into fall, winter, and spring sports, you would look at your half-year credits because you would have been done with your first and second marking period grades. In terms of looking at sports for the following school year as a sophomore, the athletic department would want to make sure that you have met your first freshman year minimum credits of 30, and also maintaining good athletic standards. So in terms of academic standards, that's maintaining your grades and that your GPA is up to par to what the athletic department would be looking for. In terms of ASAP, that is for students who do not have the required grade that they're looking for to maintain staying in a particular sport. So then the athletic department do follow up with students to ensure that they're going for extra help with their teachers during lunch and or after school. In terms of sports eligibility, so at the high school, in any high school, you do look into what kind of sport you would like to play, and also thinking about if you are thinking to do play sports at the college level. You have Division I, Division II, and some Division III sports that are looking at students early on throughout high school. So as a freshman, if you're playing club soccer, for example, typically you would play the school sports in the fall, and then you have the club sports in the winter and spring. So during that time, you have different college coaches that may be reaching out or checking to see how you're doing and following up with your grades, and also you communicating with your current coach to see if you meet eligibility in terms of the position you're playing, your athleticism, and that it is something you want to pursue, so that way you can register through NCAA. And the registration process is simply you taking certain course load that meets that eligibility requirements. So if, let's say, the college and NCAA would want you to take a particular course in English, you want to make sure that you're taking your core requirements and additional elective that might be within the English electives department. Now, once you get to your sophomore and junior year, we meet with students. We do recommend that they do register with NCAA because typically they want a copy of your transcript, in addition to requesting that you take some standardized testing to see where you are at the end of your junior year for that process for our recruitment. So we usually recommend that any student athletes who are interested in playing sports at the college level do have that conversation with their coach, whether it's a football, soccer, basketball, any sports that they're currently playing at the varsity level here at the high school, to see what the options are from there on. And also communicating with the school counselors so that we're aware that you are planning, your student is planning to play college sports, so we can be sure that you're taking the appropriate classes that will meet NCAA eligibility. You could, next slide. What do incoming freshmen need to know? Basically, we would like for all of our incoming freshmen student to know that they have a host of support here at West Orange High School. We have 2 student assistant counselors in addition to us school counselors that are available to assist you. We have administrators and deans who are in the building. You will meet other teachers as well who may not necessarily be a classroom teacher, but a club advisor that you will be connecting with that will be available to assist and tend to your needs and reach out at any point in time you need to just find someone to talk to. So what we recommend coming into the high school is also just try to connect with your school counselors, getting to know the different administrators and other faculty members in the building that may be a part of a club or sports or any program that you feel connected to that you would like to be a part of. So that way you build in that network as well with your fellow classmates. You will find there are students who you may not have been connected with at the middle school because you may not have had classes with them, but because you join a particular club or sport, you become great friends over the years. And really, when you come into high school, or especially West Orange High School, we have a diverse community in terms of program interests, in terms of classes, in addition to just the atmosphere where you will find a fit in with your classmates, and also knowing that you have a community of other students who are, like mind to yours. Whether you like technology, you will find students there. The arts, you have students there. The theater programs, or anything that you find that you enjoy doing at the middle school, you will find a set of other students with similar interests as well. Thank you.
Okay. So before my name is Luis Palante. I am obviously one of the counselors. I typically, good evening. I typically have students whose last names start with T through Z. I have 3 daughters, one of which is also in 8th grade, my oldest. So I'm in a similar position to a lot of parents tonight, kind of trying to learn how high school is going to work and how, what my child, how it's going to operate. So I'm going to talk to you about graduation requirements as well as how our schedule works at West Orange High School. In terms of graduation requirements, we've talked a lot about credits. Both Ms. Millington and Mr. Casal have mentioned, you're taking so many credits, this and that. So I just want to explain for a second what credits are. So every class that a student takes in high school, if they pass the class, whether they get an A, B, C, or D, they get a certain number of credits. It's different than a GPA. So a GPA, if you get an A, you get so many points. A B, you get so many points. If you pass the class, you get anywhere between 2.5 and 5 credits. A full year course gets you 5 credits, and that's sanctioned by the state of New Jersey. A course that only runs for half of the year, like a personal finance course, which we'll talk about a little bit later, you get 2.5 credits for. So it's important to note when students enter high school, I tell my 9th graders all the time, whatever you did in 8th grade, the whole slate wipes clean. Like Mr. Casal was saying, you don't have a GPA when you come into high school. So, whatever you did in 8th grade, it's kind of a new beginning in high school. And in order to graduate high school, you have, as it says here on the slide, you have to achieve a minimum of 135 credits. All right. What's important to note is that each year students go take about anywhere between 8 and 10 classes. All right. So 8 full year courses times 5 credits per full year course. Each student attempts right around 40 to 41 credits per year. So if you're attempting 40 credits per year times 4 years, the minimum requirements to graduate is 135 out of 160 credits. Okay, if you can go to the next slide, please. Now, this is, I'm not going to read this whole thing necessarily, but these are the graduation requirements as per the state of New Jersey. So if we look at the first line, English, it says at least 20 credits in language arts literacy. So if each full year course is worth 5 credits, that means that each student must take 4 years of English. So in order to graduate in the state of New Jersey, you have to take 4 years of English. Similarly, you have to take 3 years of math, 15 credits or 3 years in social studies, 3.75 credits or roughly 1 year in health, safety, and physical education, 15 credits or 3 years of science, at least 5 credits or 1 year of visual performing arts, at least 5 credits in world languages, at least 5 credits in what the state calls 21st century skills, and at least 2.5 credits or half a year in financial literacy, which there are a number of courses at West Orange that meet that requirement, which your counselor will discuss with you, whether it's Ms. Volpe or your counselor in high school. So this is just important to know. Now, as I tell parents, I tell students all the time, my job, our job as counselors is to make sure that you graduate. We will not let you get away with not taking 3 years of math and 4 years of English. We're actually in the process right now of meeting with 9th graders and 10th graders and 11th graders in groups, 3 or 4 at a time, to go over every single student. You know, this is what you've done. This is what you have to do. This is what you still need. So if somebody comes to me and says, I don't want to take this next year, the answer is going to be no. So, you know, I think we're very good at ensuring that everybody is on pace to graduate. If a student, I'm looking at the questions, if a student is in Algebra 2 currently in 8th grade, does that transfer to 9th grade? You know, Ms. Volpe can probably talk about that a little bit, but ultimately, if you're taking Algebra 2 in 9th grade, you would move to geometry in 10th grade. Okay, what you take in 8th grade, just for the record, does not go on the transcript that you're going to send to colleges, but colleges are aware. If you start geometry in 9th grade, there are sequence of courses that you can still take to take all 4 years of math. And I'll be honest with you, it says you need 15 credits in math, 3 years. I've been doing this 18 years. I can count on one hand the number of students who only take 3 years of math, right? If you're looking for college, colleges are going to want 4 years of math. So regardless of what the minimum is, we rarely let them do that necessarily. Now, if a student says I only take 3 years, we talk to the parent's okay with it, that's okay. But generally we would advise, and I don't speak for everybody, but I would advise students to take as much math as they possibly can. Okay. In terms of the promotion policy, so it's unlike middle school. You don't stay back. Students come to me and say, well, if I fail English, do I stay back? When it comes to credits, as long as you have 30 out of 40 credits, you move to become a 10th grader. Okay. At the high school level, you don't stay back for the whole year. If you fail 9th grade English, you have to repeat 9th grade English, but you would move to 10th grade classes when it comes to history and math and the other classes you passed. Similarly, in order to be considered an 11th grader, you need 65 credits. So if you're in your first 2 years, you attempt 80 and pass everything, but let's say 1 or 2 courses, you'll move to 11th grade. In order to be a senior, to be able to graduating senior, you need 100 credits after 3 years in high school. Next slide, please. My last one. Oh, so, all right, now I'll talk as briefly as I can about the schedule at West Orange High School. At West Orange, we use what's called a rotating drop schedule. So as I said, each student, their schedule, there are 8 classes on that schedule. Periods 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Ms. Rosen in a little bit will talk about what classes freshmen have to take, but ultimately the bottom here is what a schedule would look like. However, the decision was made a few years ago that students will not go to all 8 classes every day. We work on what's called a rotating drop schedule. Means out of 8 classes, you only go to 6 classes every day. So instead of going to 8 classes for it used to be 40 minutes, students go to 6 classes for 53 minutes each. So that every day, 2 periods, quote unquote, drop. Okay. And it also rotates. So if you have ROTC first period on Monday, you would have ROTC second period or second block, they would call it, on Tuesday. Okay. It looks very confusing, and it is confusing to freshmen for about a week or 2. But there's a lot of patience early on, and students get used to it pretty quickly. And ultimately, I would say, having been here a long time, students prefer this schedule to the way we used to do it. The students like that lunch is 53 minutes, and they like that, you know, if they're not a fan of math, then 1 or 2 days a week, they don't have math. So homework's not due tomorrow, it's due in a couple of days. And if you go to the next slide, it also mentions a rotating drop schedule. So this is, again, looks like just a bunch of numbers until you understand it. But ultimately, if you look at it on, you know, each day there are 4 types of days: A day, B day, C day, and D day. So that's what rotates. So every day, if today's an A day, tomorrow's a B day, next day's a C day. After the D day, it goes back to A day. And on A day, you go to periods 1, 2, and 3. Then you have lunch. You go to periods 5, 6, and 7. And then you drop periods 4 and 8. B day, one of the classes that was dropped, that's what you start the day with, and it rotates around. Okay. Sorry, I'm looking at the questions. Again, it's I don't want to spend too much time because it's not going to it's still going to be confusing. The students do get used to it. And ultimately, like I said, they really seem to like it. The freshman class have the option in the first year to see which course they would like to enroll in. For example, first semester automotive, second semester they can try culinary, third semester try business. We'll talk about the schedule in a little bit, but that's not necessarily how it goes. What the students will do is meet with Ms. Volpe and their other 8th grade counselors to determine what electives, we'll talk about electives and course selection now, but they will get to pick some electives and then the computer kind of decides when they get. But I will let Ms. Rosen continue.
Okay. Hi, everyone. I'm Rachel Rosen. I'm one of the school counselors here. This is my 10th school year at West Orange High School. And I'm going to talk to you guys a little bit about the course selection process, what a typical schedule looks like, and also some of the special programs that we have here at West Orange. So right now at the high school, we began the course selection process right after winter break, and it's a long process. So this is just the very beginning stages. We do meet with each student individually to go over not only their academics and their classes that they still need for graduation, but we spend a lot of time talking to them about their interests. One of, I think, the best things about West Orange High School is the breadth of classes that we offer. It's similar to a small college or university. I tell students that if they try different classes in high school, that most likely they'll be able to find a class or an area of interest that they possibly want to study in high school. And at the very least, they'll be able to knock some things off their list. I have students who come in and say, oh, I want to become a doctor. And I'm like, okay, let's sign you up to take medical terminology. And they take a semester of that and they're like, oh, no, I don't want to do that. Or a variety of different things. So the high school is a really great opportunity to try different electives to try to hone in on what you may be interested in doing after high school. You can go to the next slide. So for high school scheduling, we always encourage students to take the most challenging classes that they are capable of taking. This is a collaborative effort, not only between the students and the parents, but also the teachers. So every year we have, ongoing conversations with the teachers about students who may be recommended for honors level classes, who may be recommended for AP level classes when they're upperclassmen, and vice versa. Maybe a student, is struggling in honors algebra and needs to level down either, in the first marking period, or maybe the following year they need to level down. So we always just try to encourage that balance. And we talked a lot about students who are involved in a lot of activities. So even though maybe intellectually you can handle all honors courses, we always try to take a holistic approach and encourage students, if you're going to football practice every day after school, you're not going to have as much time to do your homework. So we try to strike that balance, and it changes not only like semester to semester, but it changes year to year. And as I said, the electives we really use to kind of help hone in on those special interests. So what does a typical freshman schedule look like? Usually students will have 2 elective periods to choose classes that they want to take. Ms. Volpe and your middle school counselors, they will be providing the list of electives that are available to freshmen. Our electives typically have prerequisites, so they stack on top of each other. So for instance, one of the most popular is the intro to the culinary classes. So a lot of freshmen will try to get into the culinary classes. And if you complete the first and second level in your freshman year, you're able to go on then to the next level, which is global cuisine. And then the next level, which is innovation in culinary arts and bake shop. But those prerequisites are required in order to take higher levels of the electives. So as you're looking through our program of studies, you'll see that there are many levels of a lot of different classes. And not to say that students all go through the levels, but it's really nice when a student finds their niche. I have a student who I met with today who is going on to their 3rd level of honors architecture 3. And you know, they're pretty set on wanting to become an architect. So that's what's really cool about the electives that we offer here. It really gives students an opportunity to explore different things before they get to college and kind of hone in on what they might be interested in. Most of the schedule is not, you won't be able to pick. All students take English 9, biology, modern world history, the math that they're suited for, PE, health 9, and usually a world language, although some students don't take a world language. And then that leaves the 2 elective periods open. So you can go on to the next slide. All right, so choosing electives. The middle school counselors will be providing you with the sheets to select the electives. Like I said, this is a long process. So when I meet with kids, they're always so stressed. I have to know exactly what I want to take right now. And while yes, we're trying to figure that out, it ebbs and flows for the rest of the year. So we always tell students, like, even if you pick, I want to take art right now, you could come back to me in March and say, I changed my mind. I don't want to do art. I want to do cooking. It's very easy to make schedule changes prior to the school year starting. We are very strict though about not doing schedule changes once school starts. Being it's such a big high school with so many kids and so many classes, it's just not physically possible for us to do schedule changes specifically for electives once the school year starts. So we really ask that parents and students take the time to, you know, read the course descriptions, find out information about the classes ahead of time to make sure it's something they really want to take, because once the school year starts, we really don't allow schedule changes. Everything will be linked in here. So we will be sharing this PowerPoint. I know there's a lot of links in here and you're probably wanting to click around, but you will have the opportunity to click those links once this is posted. All right, special programs. We do offer a lot of different special programs. And even after being here for 10 years, I'm still amazed at how many different, you know, opportunities we have for students. I'm going to go over the 4 special programs that are offered to freshmen. They are all application-based. None of them are required, so you don't have to apply to a special program. It's only if you have an interest in one of these programs. I'll start with ROTC. That's Air Force Junior Reserve Officer Training Corps. It is a 4-year program led by 2 amazing retired major and a chief, and they really have such a wonderful impact on our school. You'll see them walking around. They have to wear uniforms. It is a class that's built into their schedule, and there's just a lot of really, really beneficial parts to this program. Community service, you know, they really, and they hold the students to high standards. So the major and chief are always getting involved. Like, they'll email me, so-and-so is not doing well in a class, can we have a meeting? So it's an extra layer of support in the school, especially if your child has any sort of interest in, you know, joining armed forces at some point, although that's not a requirement at all. So that's ROTC. The next one is TCI, or the Collegiate Institute, formerly known as AVID. This is another period that's built into the student schedule. So like if you were in ROTC or you were in TCI, this would be one of your elective periods that you would have. And TCI is really, again, all about support. It helps students really understand time management and note-taking skills and how to advocate for themselves. The goal is to get students to just work to their fullest potential and give them the support that they need along the way. So again, the AVID teachers are always reaching out to me as well. It's just like an extra person that's there to, you know, help make sure that they're working to their fullest potential. And then the last 2 programs are our 2 honors interest-based programs. IH is the Institute for Humanities, and IMS is the Institute for Math and Science. We can talk more about these programs in depth. I know parents always have a lot of questions about these programs, but essentially these two programs are for students who have a specific interest in either the humanities, so art, dance. You're also required to, while you're in the program, take a full year of a fine art. So if that's not something that your child wants to take, it's not a program for them. And the Institute for Math and Science is for students who are interested in STEM related electives. Both of these programs, the requirement is that you have to be in honors. For IH, you have to be in honors English, and you have to also be recommended for honors history. For IMS, you have to be recommended for honors math and for honors science. And then both programs have a 1 period or 5 credit elective requirement that you have to choose from. And all of the applications are due in the beginning of February. All right, we can go on to the next slide.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Rosanna Santos. This is year 11 for me. I typically have students that fall within the B to D portion of the alphabet. So it's never too early to start planning for your future. West Orange High School actually offers a varied curriculum of courses and electives in many different areas. Here on this slide, we have provided links to our program of studies where you can find courses offered as well as their descriptions. We have also included links to brochures for our business and family consumer science, culinary arts, career and technical education, and the technology and engineering programs, including information on dual enrollment courses offered where students can potentially earn college credits at some local colleges. In addition, you will find links to our civic empowerment and health sciences programs. Next slide. So here we have a course planning sheet, which students can use to map out the courses they intend to take throughout their high school career. This is also a great way for students to plan for taking courses meant to fulfill specific requirements for graduation. And here you can see a little bit of what Mr. Palante was talking about in terms of those state graduation requirements. Next slide. So at the high school, students are set up with an account on Naviance. So from college preparation and career planning to important communications from the high school, Naviance is perhaps the most important resource you'll have as a high school student. Parents and students will also join an email list and receive all important communication from West Orange High School. Next slide. At West Orange High School, the school counselors help students with a variety of things, including academic advising, scheduling, post-secondary planning, individual counseling, and student concerns. In addition, we conduct meetings in small grade level groups. We coordinate meetings with parents, teachers, and students, and we also provide referrals in and outside of school as needed. Next slide. So here you'll find the current school counselor assignment, which is broken down alphabetically. This will be updated later on in the school year in preparation for next year, and it will be shared with all parents when schedules become available as well. At West Orange High School, we have 2 school assistance counselors, or SACs as we call them, Mr. Chiricello and Ms. Headlam, and they have different halves of the alphabet. That's how they're assigned. Next slide. So the SACs assist students and families with a variety of things, including but not limited to connecting students and families to community resources for things like alcohol and drug issues. They provide support for students who may have academic issues stemming from social, emotional, and mental health issues. They are also members of student support teams at the high school, such as Crisis, 504, INRS, and Emergency Management. They also assist with staff development, and they serve as our anti-bullying specialists. Next slide. So next steps. During 8th grade, your child will meet with their school counselor in order to complete their course requests for freshman year. If your child is applying for any special programs, they must submit their applications by the specified deadline that Ms. Rosen mentioned. That was in early February. Then during the summer, students should complete their, well, they must complete their summer assignments. They should also attend one of the designated freshman orientation dates in August. And finally, they should review their high school schedule when it becomes available on Power School in August, making sure to address any scheduling concerns with their assigned counselor prior to the start of the school year.
Thank you to the counselors who came out this evening to provide information to our parents. And at this time, we want to make sure that we address any questions or concerns that parents do have. I'll read some of the questions and we'll answer them as we're going along. We have a parent that has asked, when are the orientation dates announced? Generally in July, they announce the orientation dates. They're usually held the end of August. During the last 2 weeks of August, the orientation dates are held. In the event that you are not able to attend the orientation dates, they do we will arrange other times for your sons or daughters to come in, take them on a tour of the building, go through their schedule and as such, because we do understand that, during the summer, parents are away, students are away, and they may not be available on those particular dates. Another parent has asked, does West Orange allow students outside of West Orange? Generally not. Only students who reside in West Orange attend West Orange. If you live outside of West Orange, West Orange School District does offer tuition based depending on our enrollment. Currently, we're not accepting tuition paid students. However, depending on our enrollment, that is a possibility that you pay tuition if your desire is to attend the West Orange School District. Schedules, someone asked, when will students and parents be able to see their students' class schedule? On or about August 6th, the week of August 6th, all students are able to see the classes that they have selected. At that time, if they want to make any adjustments between August 6th and the first day of school, school counselors are available to address those schedule changes. Also in June, the second week in June, all parents will receive a letter stating that your son or daughter, these are the classes that they have selected, and in essence that they will be scheduled for, but their actual schedule will be posted in the parent portal the week of August 6th, on or about that time. You will receive a notification via our district website, and we also send out school messenger.
So there's a number of questions about IMS and IH, if you can be in multiple programs, TCI, IMS, IH. And to some extent, I mean, there are some situations where it's not impossible. However, it's important to note that with each of these programs, there are certain elective requirements. So if you're an IH, you're required to take a fine arts elective in addition. If you're an IMS, you are required to take a STEM elective in addition to the biology and the math. If you're in TCI, there's a TCI elective. So while I've had students in TCI and like IH, and very rarely, it takes away all the electives that, you only get 2 electives per year. So if one of them's TCI and the other one's in the IH elective, then you're not going to get a chance to take some of the other stuff that you may have wanted to take. And the idea with, especially TCI, is a program that you're expected to be in all 4 years. So each year, that's one of your electives. So it's not impossible. It's rare. It doesn't happen often. And it's also important to note, the whole idea of the programs is not to be able to say I'm in an honors program, right? If you're an IH, the idea is that you are interested in the humanities. If you're in IMS, it's because you have a strong interest in STEM, in math and engineering technology. So, I rarely advise parents to apply to all of them and just see what happens. The intent is really supposed to be, well, I'm really interested in math and science, so I'm going to apply to IMS and see if I get in. That being said, it's a cohort. Whether you take honors biology or honors biology IMS, it's still weighted the same in terms of GPA. It's not like honors biology IMS is better or harder, or it's the same curriculum. So it's really the advantage to the IMS program is that it's a cohort. So it's students who are kind of moved together. You have the same students in the biology course, same students in the whatever the math course is. There are trips, for example, for 10th grade IMS, we took them this year to Stevens to see some college visits. So there are benefits, but it's not, a more prestigious or quote unquote better program than taking honors biology and honors algebra 2.
And I also just want to mention, because a lot of students are in our music programs, that music is considered an elective. So if a student is in band or theater or drama or choir, that takes up one of their elective spots. So talking about being in like 2 different programs, yes, you could be in ROTC and an IH, but if you're also, in band, you won't have room for all 3 of those.
Okay, someone is asking how many electives or credits should they select for freshman year. So I believe Mr. Palante might have shared this before, but typically each year a full course load gets you about 40 to 41 credits. So your child, when they select their courses with their current counselor, they'll be selecting electives to fill up every slot, which should get them about 41 credits. As far as how many electives that winds up being, usually it's about anywhere from like 2 to 4 different electives, depending on if they're half year or full year classes. There's usually like 2 period slots for electives.
Somebody asked, excuse me, what is the Air Force Junior Reserve Officer Training about? It is an ROTC program. It's a class, a period elective that's offered. You have to apply to the program and be accepted into it. It's not a program. The goal is not to convince students to go to the military. So parents are sometimes nervous about that. There's no expectation. There's no encouragement. There's no, pushing at all that you should look into a military program or the military itself. It is, however, run in a military type fashion. There are very strict rules. Uniforms have to be worn certain ways on certain days. There's a hair length requirement. I've had students want to do it and then come to me and decide against it for the next year because they were allowed to wear the hair a certain way. So it is, it's strict and there's rules. That being said, it's a great program. More students love it than the handful that find the rules too restrictive for them. So it's definitely a program that, it's very worthwhile, but it's also, I just want to be clear that there are expectations and rules and there is not flexibility. Right, it's run by Major Marchesini and Chief Thurston, and their rules are their rules. There's no wiggle room to say, well, I don't want to wear my pin like this today. If that happens, you lose points and there are repercussions.
There's a question here asking, does the student need honors classes to apply for TCI? And can you please review what TCI covers? So no, students do not need honors classes to apply for TCI. The program is, it's meant for students who are like in the academic middle. So usually like students that are between like a 2.0 to 3.0 GPA. And it basically helps them as they navigate taking college prep courses, but it also prepares them to take more advanced courses at the high school level. So getting to the honors and maybe even the AP classes later on. TCI, it's meant to help those students advance and prepare for college. So, you know, they'll do things like focus on note taking, organization. They'll, you know, have study groups with their peers. They'll even do certain exercises that like encourage like higher level, like college level thinking. It's just a program that offers the extra level of support to that specific cohort of students.
There's another question. Is it required to take fine and performing arts elective? Each student is required to take 5 credits of a fine or performing arts elective at some point during their high school career. So yes to that. Students will know when they are accepted into the program. It's generally around May, the beginning of May. There is a, letters will be sent out to each one of the students to let them know the IMS, the IH, the Air Force ROTC, TCI. The students will be sent a letter or notified that they have been accepted into the different programs. Someone asked this question before, but not sure if it was answered. I have the same question too. If students go into IMS or IH, are the honors classes at a higher level or different than the general honors classes? Their curriculum is the same. Their experiences may be different. They use a co-teaching model. They are the students in the IMS programs and the IH programs may be exposed to different activities or different guest speakers, but the curriculum for the honors classes and students who have IMS or IH honors classes, the curriculum are the same.
There's a question, what does early childhood family study program entail? It's a 3-year sequence. It's really intended for students who are considering or want the experience of working in early childhood. They actually bring in, I tell students this, they bring in real live little kids, 4 and 5-year-olds. They basically run, in essence, I think it's once a week or once every 2 weeks, like a preschool program. Maybe it's more, I'm not sure off the top of my head. But students, like children come in and the students, the high school students kind of rotate, observing them, preparing to educate them, and playing/working, teaching them. So it is a really good experience for students who come in and are considering if they want to be like a early childhood teacher or even elementary level teacher, just to get that experience in front of a group, working with children. And I tell students, if you don't like little kids, that's not a course you should necessarily take, because they're, it's predominantly focused on real children.
There's a question here about the applications for the special programs. So yes, there are separate applications for the 4 programs that we mentioned: IH, IMS, ROTC, and TCI. They're live on our website, so you can view them there. You can ask Ms. Volpe or your middle school counselor to direct you in the right direction. I know for IH and I think IMS that they are paper-based, back to being paper-based this year. And there is an essay requirement, a writing sample. So, just review the criteria.
I could jump in about that, Mrs. Rosen.
Sure.
Hi, everybody. I'm Lauren Volpe. I'm the school counselor at Liberty Middle School. So the applications are all available to the students. We have them posted in the Google Classroom. They're on the West Orange High School website, and I've also linked them into a letter that we've school messaged out a few times now to the Liberty parents. So they have access, the students have access to these institute applications. And we told the students that we would like them back. They are due by February 3rd. No exceptions. That is the deadline. And a lot of these institute require teacher recommendations. So we did tell the students that we would like them to approach their teachers by January 20th so that the teachers have enough time to complete the rating scales and recommendations.
If there are any parents on the line from Roosevelt, they follow the same process.
thing.
Same process, same dates. They will be hosting an evening for 8th grade parents to go over the scheduling process a little more intimately with the Roosevelt parents. So you should be hearing from them soon as it relates to that evening. They were unable to be here this evening. They have shared out the information through their Google Classrooms also with the students. On the district website, they have also shared the scheduling information, the scheduling process as well. After this presentation, we will be sending out not only the slides, but we will also send out a recording of the presentation so that parents are able to, go back, listen, click those links, and have a better understanding of the various programs.
I just want to add to that Liberty has a PTA meeting tomorrow evening, which is virtual. So I will be on that meeting as well for any questions about the 8th to 9th grade scheduling.
So there's a question, when do students apply if they're interested in the early childhood program? It's not an application. It's basically one of the electives that can be chosen. So when you meet with your 8th grade counselor, you can put it down as one of your course requests. It's important. Somebody asked earlier, how many electives do you get to choose? What I would say is put down as many as you are interested in taking. You get anywhere between 2, 3, or 4 electives, depending on full year versus half year. But just because you put down that you want to take culinary and foods and cooking doesn't mean you're going to get it. I tell students all the time, it's probably the most popular elective. Probably there's 150 seats and about 400 students request it. So, so it's just the luck of the draw. We don't determine who gets the courses, the computer does. So if you will give us multiple options, that'll help us, or that'll ensure that you'll get something that you will be okay with. So early childhood is just an elective that you can sign up for.
I just want to jump in on that. The early childhood class, Mrs. Mullins does have an application for it, and the students did receive it. So it's due February 3rd. Again, it's a class. It's not a special program. And the students have to write an essay, 250 words or less, why they want to take the class. We told the students to approach their favorite teacher for the teacher recommendation, and then they need to give it to me for my recommendation. Okay. And then, yeah, that's that. And the students all have access to it. They were given that. And as far as their electives, we do have an elective form that all students were given. We decided to go back to paper. So students are to number in order, preference order of what they want the most, 1 to 6. And we went over that in their science classes with them, explaining to them what we'd like them to do.
Okay, someone's asking, can you explain the difference between honors and AP? So at the high school level, we have 3 levels of classes. We have college prep, then we have honors level, and then AP. So honors is 1 step above the college prep. It's a more rigorous level, of course. But then when you get to AP is essentially a college level course. With AP, you can sit for an AP exam at the end of the school year in that specific subject. And depending on the grade that you earn on the AP exam, let's say, I believe it's a 5 that you have to earn, you could earn potentially college credits for that specific course. So if you took like AP literature, the AP exam there, and you scored a 5, you could earn credits to a college for that English. So it could count essentially as your first year of English in college.
Also, many of the, not many of them, the AP classes have a requirement of the honors courses. So a student has to take certain honors courses. They become prerequisites for the AP courses. So it's the level in which the student progresses.
Someone asked a question about if a student required to take classes from each program outside of fine art and performing arts. Those in terms of your business, tech ed, engineering, family, consumer science are considered elective. And we have had students taking electives in each of those areas just to really figure out what their interests are. And we've also had students who really are into technology or business and tech ed or art that they stay in it throughout high school and they get to the higher level. So if you're thinking of a student who loves art, for example, by their senior year, they may end up in an AP studio art class. If they're into theater, that would be where they're at the higher level. Same thing with any business, technology, or even a science elective as well. So they're not required to take anything in those areas, but we recommend it just so that way they can see where they're really interested in terms of a career interest options.
Thank you. I want to just take this time to thank all the parents for coming out and attending this evening, and also thanking the school counselors for taking the time to come and share the information about West Orange High School with our parents. If there are any parents online that are not attending the West Orange school system at this time, and they would like the information that was shared this evening, please send me an email, cbutler@westorangeschools.org, and I will make sure that you receive the recording, the PowerPoint presentation, copy of the program of studies, and any additional information that will assist you with making that transition to West Orange High School. For the parents who do attend the West Orange School District, Roosevelt or Liberty, the school counselors do have the information. They will be sharing the information out to the parents once again, so that you have the information that you need. I say to you at any time, if you do have any questions or concerns, please feel free to reach out to the school counselors or myself so that we can address them. We look forward to meeting each and every one of you as you transition to West Orange High School. Have a great evening. Talk to you soon.